The Open Conference crown is now up for grabs, and who, more than ever, is willing to clinch that golden trophy? A team with 3 consecutive semifinals appearances, the Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors. And on the other side of the net is the 3B Event Masters, a new team ready to steer things up. They may be new, but experience is on their side with the likes of Car Berdal and former Sea Lion Bodgemar Castel. Denise Wildesancho here reporting on the sideline at the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan, as we all wonder who will set the tone in their opening match. Find out only here where power meets passion. The Spikers serve.
Welcome to the Phil Oil Eco Oil Arena for your Spikers Turf Open Conference 2026 here on Pilipinas Live. And we are now at the final matchup of our first day, meeting all 6 teams officially. And of course, up first, we have the 3B Event Masters shown on screen, and then Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors, one of the most fabulous teams here in the entire Spikers Turf competition. And of course, expectations have started to rise for that particular team. But we're going to focus first on a 3B in just a bit. It has been an interesting offseason, a lot of big moves as we take a look at the game today. 3B going up against Savouge Spin Doctors. Game 3 in just a bit. Once again, welcome to Phil Oil Center here in San Juan City. I'm Paulo De Rosario alongside Neil Flores. Great to be working with you again, Neil. It's been a while, and I'm just really excited to find out how the new look teams will figure here.
Same, I'm just happy that we're back in our turf. By the end of this tournament, we will be crowning a new champion.
Oh, yes.
That seat is open for the taking, so it's really up to the 6 teams.
You know what? The throne is empty, and we're going to take a look at the 6 teams coming in this particular conference. We have the 3B Event Masters, the AAP Cab Stars, the Alpha Insurance Protectors, Crisscross King Crunchers, Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors, and of course, the Venus Always Bright Laticret Griffins. Yes, a bit of a mouthful, but we do love them. And as you mentioned, all of these teams have not won an open conference yet, and we'll have a historic conference no matter what, with one of these teams winning.
That is correct. There are a couple of heavy contenders this conference for the Spikers Turf, but it's time to talk about our tournament format first.
Yeah.
I think it's the same tournament format as before. We will have a double round robin since we only have 6 teams, and the top 4 teams will enter the semifinals. And in that round, it is going to be another single round robin where the top 2 teams advance to the championship series, and the rank number 3 and rank number 4 team will battle for bronze. In the finals, championship and the battle for third are a best of 3 series.
It is a familiar tournament format and something that we are excited to navigate through with everyone. But of course, let's focus here on 3B. We mentioned that we're going to go through their lineup first. And what you're going to see here is a lineup with a few veteran names worth mentioning. In particular, of course, you have Bonch Castel, who I feel like we've been covering for quite a while here in Spikers Turf.
He's no stranger to the turf, but there are a lot of names to watch out also. Some standouts from the UAAP like JM Baldelavar and Axel De Feo, former Red Warrior. We also have standouts from the NCAA in Israel Encina from EAC, and Kenneth Lainata from JRU. So it is going to be a tough test, of course, for 3B, but we're excited to see what they can bring to the table.
You know, we're excited what they could bring. Of course, there's a lot of youth involved here, as well as some of the veterans that we did mention. But of course, Coach Francisco, we had a chance to interview him just a while back to try and figure out what the 3B will bring in this particular conference. Let's listen in.
Siyempre, nandun na yung pagiging competitive ng lahat ng team. Siyempre, magandang laban. Siyempre, kasi lahat ng team ngayon, balance na balance. Nagtitiwala ako sa team ko kasi enjoy leadership ni Bon Castel as a veteran sa NCAA national team and Spikers Turf.
That's Coach RJ Francisco there. He says that all the teams here are a bit even. But of course, so far what we've had today are games with 3 sets, and we're going to find out if that will change. Of course, with Neil Flores here, you never know. You always get a 5-setter with this guy. So we're going to find out whether or not this trend continues. But of course, all joking aside, let's take a look at Savouge. They are a team filled with a lot of potential, a lot of power. This is a group that actually made it to the semifinals in the past 2 conferences, and now they have loaded up with a few key additions.
Yeah, I'll cut to the chase. Savouge is definitely a team to watch out for. Louis Ramirez, Joven De La Vega, and JP Bugawan will be joining Coach Sidney Calderon in their push towards that finals appearance. That has always been the goal for Savouge. They've competed in the bronze medal match, but Coach Sidney really wants to bag that gold medal for their team.
You know what? With these key additions, it shows that they mean business. And speaking of Coach Sidney, you know, Coach Sidney is one of the more iconic personalities that we have here on Spiker Surf. And we had the opportunity to check in with Coach Sidney. Let's take a look at this.
For the new players na nandito sa amin ngayon, isa lang sinabi ko sa kanila, ang trademark talaga ng Savouge is happy-happy lang. So, yun yung sinabi ko sa kanila na bawal sobrang seryoso pag naglalaro. So, gusto ko yung makita yung tunay na sila ba, kung nandun sila sa loob, kung paano talaga sila maglaro. Happy ako for all the teams, lalong-lalo na may mga bago. At saka, very competitive yung teams ngayon kasi kumbaga yung mga players from Signal, kalat siya ngayon. So, medyo mahirap pero very exciting yung magiging conference.
Coach Sidney, of course, referencing the talented field that we have here, especially with a lot of players from Signal moving on to the different teams here in the competition. But we'll find out which one will come out on top. This is a Spiker Surf. Do join the conversation by using the hashtag SpikerSurf2026. And of course, at this moment, let's turn it over to the floor to find out who the starters are.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2026 Spiker Surf Open Conference, where power meets passion. Our third and final match for you, today's opening day, features a new member of our group, our 3B Event Masters product, and our Savouge Spin Doctors. Presenting our national officials for this match. First referee, Mr. Joffer Educado. Second referee, Mr. Patrick Alan Castillo. Let's call on our starting lineup from our 3B event Masters product. Let's begin with their team captain, who wears jersey number 13, Bonjamar Castel. At number 1, Jeremiel Baldelavar. Wearing jersey number 2, Gideon James Guadalupe. Number 5 is Carl Justin Berdal. Number 12, John Vincent Ramos. Number 17, Kenneth Dainata. Starting libero is number 11, Joshua Datu. And head coach, Mr. RJ Francisco Jr. Presenting our Savouge Spin Doctors. Let's begin with jersey number 1, Sherwin Caritativo. At number 4, Giles Jeffer Torres. Number 6, Mark Frederick Calado. At number 11, John Christian Inarciso. Number 21, Louis Ramirez. And number 25, John Paul Bugao. Starting libero is number 5, Rico Marius Marmeto. Head coach is Sidney Calderon. This is match number 3 of the preliminary round 2026 Open Conference of the Spiker Surf. where power meets
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
passion.
back to the 2026 Spiker Surf Open Conference. Starts here for the 3B Event Masters, led by the captain Bonge Castel, again a veteran of the men's volleyball pro scene, and of course a lot of key figures here that we expect to get to know more of in this particular competition. On the other side, the Savouge Spin Doctors, a lot of familiar names here: Shawi Caritativo, Mac Carlado, JP Bugawan, of course, a new addition to this group here for the Savouge Spin Doctors, with Coach Sydney at the helm. With this new competition, we are going to have a new champion with Signal out of the picture. The throne is open in the 3B Event Masters, and Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors are eager to stake their claim. Paulo De Rosario alongside Neil Flores on the call, and it's Denise Valdesancho joining us on the sideline. Thank you so much for joining us. Partner, let's talk first about being the new kid on the block, the 3B Event Masters. They come into this with a lot of veteran presence, but of course a lot of exciting young talent as well, as Savouge get on the board first.
Individual stars are already there dun sa roster ng 3B, but it's really about working as a team. When you compete in the Spikers turf, right off the gates, you can already see the strong starting lineup of Savouge, because they're currently using former Signal players Louis Ramirez and JP Bugawan, and these are championship caliber players. So ang laki ng suporta na makukuha din ni Mark Calado. That's a great kill block to start off for 3B.
And of course, the challenge here for Coach Sydney is that biglang dumami yung arsenal mo, yung weapons mo. You're gonna have to figure out just how all of these pieces fit together. Because it's not just about having an arms race na about grabbing talent natin. But they have to make it all work. Shawi Caritativo scores here for the Spin Doctors.
And you don't even need to get so many players. She just really needed to acquire certain players in certain possessions to help boost her team. I think that was a great pickup from Coach Sydney.
Caritativo with the serve. Chance here for the Spin Doctors, but then shut that down.
In terms of pressure, I think more pressure will be on Savouge this season compared to the new teams like 3B and Cab Stars.
You know, going up there, unable to really get enough swing in that. Here comes 3B. A great save there. We go to Ramirez. And right now we are seeing a very confident Spin Doctors team. It feels like the instruction was to really run out of the gates.
You can see the flow from Savouge. Started off with an excellent dig from Diones. And they transition to that Louis Ramirez attack.
Caritativo with a service error. A chance here for 3B to settle down. 4-1 start here for the Spin Doctors. And 3B Event Masters trying to get going here. Castel with the serve. And that was just too much to handle.
What a luxury to have Mark Calado and Louis Ramirez both in the front line for the Spin Doctors now. Sinamahan pa ni JP Bugawan. So that's three former standouts from their collegiate teams now joining forces to help Savouge.
You know, helping Savouge and staking their claim. Remember, they haven't made the finals yet. They've had a bronze medal to their name already in the Open Conference actually last year. But of course, they want to go a couple of steps up the podium, not just one.
Gold medal is up at stake this Open Conference.
Of course, for the 3B Event Masters, you know, they were talking about how even they felt the competition was. But that time, throwing that point away, Spin Doctors up by 3. That was John Vincent Ramos with error.
There are so many options also for Savouge in the bench. I can still see Loisa Gamban, Hiro Austria, Dan Nicolas. So in every possession, may kapalitan yung players ni Coach Sydney.
Kumbaga may depth talaga. As Diones unable to save that one. Got an arm to it, but that was it.
Ken Tainata will get on the board for 3B.
Tainata now, after that point, goes to the service line. There's Tainata. Looking up, here's Ramirez again.
No touch from the blockers of 3B Events Masters. They were already established, pero ang taas ng abot ni Louis Ramirez. Look at how he attacked the block.
Louis Ramirez skying up there. Off to a great start here for the Spin Doctors. Just 1 point away from a first technical timeout.
Also fresh off the national team.
And it feels like all of our national team standouts, when they go back to their club teams, they bring in that extra bag of experience with them. And you feel like it's uplifting the league as a whole as you take a look at this strike here coming from 3B.
Not just experience, but they're also bringing newfound confidence, especially when you go up against the top players of the world.
That up, but a point will go to 3B as they trim the lead down to 1. But there will be a challenge here from Coach Sydney on a block touch. So we'll find challenge. First challenge made here in this particular matchup. And for how impressive the Spin Doctors have been in the early part here, 3B have done a good job at keeping up with them. Not necessarily, with kill points, with attack points, but just making sure that, they are within touching distance.
Yeah, again, they're no stranger to the league. A lot of the players from 3B already experienced the Spikers turf before. So that will also help them. Kumbaga, wala nang masyadong jitters or nerves heading into the conference. There's no block touch, so that will be unsuccessful for Coach Sydney.
Unsuccessful there for the first challenge of this third matchup in our triple header. So here comes 3B trying to tie it up here at 7 apiece. Good block, slows that down. They go to Caritativo, and Caritativo scores and will make it 8-6 in favor of the Spin Doctors and send us to our first technical timeout here on Spikers Serve. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference live here at the San Juan Phil Oil Eco Oil Center. Now, Neil, Paolo, what you're witnessing today is a completely different breed of the Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors. December pa lang kasi, nagsimula na sila ng preparation sila for their off-season training. They had a 3-week training without playing, and in return, all of the players' body composition changed, meaning improved endurance, strength, and speed, all in accordance with head coach Sidney Calderon's system. Papasok din sila ng Open Conference as champions of the Sinulog Cup in Cebu, where they faced diverse teams. But for Coach Sydney, it has always been the same. Makapasok sa semifinals and eventually clinch the Open Conference crown. Back to you, Neil, Paolo.
Thank you so much for that report. That's Denise Valdesancho on the off-season activities for the Spin Doctors. It wasn't just work. Taking the break to really change your body. That's exactly what they've done and what we're actually seeing the results of here. Ashawi Caritativo gets another point here for the Spin Doctors.
Right now, I think it's very important for Savouge to familiarize themselves with how the new players perform also. Nasa setter na yun kung paano niya papaganahin yung mga bagong players ng Savouge Spin Doctors because he already has that connection with the former players.
Yeah.
JP Bugawan will score off an ace. That will be his first point, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course, JP Bugawan coming in with not just any type of experience, championship experience, something that you can rarely train up. That time trying to hug the line, but goes long.
Still a 3-point lead for the Savouge Spin Doctors.
Remember, don't count out 3B. They did come within 1 just a while ago. It was 6-7 at one point. But this has been a good sprint here coming from the Spin Doctors. Good first ball. No, and an even better kill.
You can also see the height difference, I guess, between these two teams. So for high leapers like Mark Calado and Louis Ramirez, that would be their instant advantage against the defenders of 3B.
It's not just the physical height, it's the verticality that they possess as well. Just being able to get up there. It's really making a difference. From the back, and Ramirez has been finding his groove.
Textbook for Luis Ramirez.
And they sue for time. Let's take a look at this again. Luis Ramirez all set up perfectly for him. And no one really quite there. Let's listen in.
Scoop lang na ano, kahit hindi perfect na may taas, maibalik, di ba? Sobrang importante, huwag tayong naka-plant lang. Pagpapalo ang kalaban, split, para mabilis tayo makapag-shift ng left or right. Okay? Ano na ba?
Kahit di makuha pa sa i-try natin. 3B!
Coach Jorge Francisco there trying to give words of advice, trying to deal with what has been an almost relentless Spin Doctors onslaught here.
They need to adjust their defense pattern up front. They're not getting a lot of block touches against the attackers of Savouge. Savouge is now at 69% conversion rate in attacking. 9 out of 13. Even in blocking, they're getting their offensive kill blocks against 3B.
Well, that was Torres and Caritativo combining there. And so far, nothing really working here for 3B. They did trim it down to just a 1-point deficit a while ago, but it felt like that was not really built from attack points. But as I say that, able to get that score off the block.
Keeper wasn't ready for the pickup. The libero tried to chase after that ball.
13-8. 3B trying to come a bit closer here. Lift it up. And believe trying to get that touch, any sort of block touch, but then just lifting it over him.
Too wide for Xavi Caritativo. Sometimes you would see Mark Calado hit from the right side pagkasabay niya si Luis Ramirez, but now he's back on the left pin.
Now this is something that I believe 3B should start to take advantage of, because they're off to a great run here as Castel wipes that off the hands of a Savouge player.
That can be their countermeasure to deliver powerful serves to the receivers of Savouge.
Reception lang tayo ulit, ha? O, dun tina-target ka doon, dahan-dahanin mo na lang. Pwestuhan mo na lang na maayos, ha? Ikaw na bahala sa play mo, basta patayin cut na natin kagad.
Let's go! Hey, one team! Savouge!
Coach Sydney there with instructions. Trying to stop the momentum here of 3B. They found a bit of a groove and have scored a couple of points back-to-back. Of course, the Spin Doctors still feel like they are in control, but of course want to have a bit more of that.
Timeout was straightforward, actually.
Yeah.
She just asked for better reception from her players. Let's see if they can deliver that ball to Narciso.
A couple of disappointing sequences prior to that timeout. Torres got a few touches from the 3B defenders, and that time just couldn't lift it over. Point will go to the Spin Doctors.
Unforced error for 3B. But the good thing about that rally is that they were able to get a block touch.
Yeah.
They were able to keep that ball alive.
Yeah, you're seeing positive signs here. Here's Xavi Caritativo. Lifting that up. Oh, and that time trying to get a wipe. Won't get a touch. So the Spin Doctors will claim the point. Just one away from our second technical timeout. Xavi Caritativo tried to send us there straight away. From the back. And that time, able to get the touches that they needed. So 3B will claim the point.
Right now, we're looking for the ace or the go-to scorer for the 3B event masters. So far, it has been Carl Berdal and Ken Dainata sharing that load. So these are the outside hitters of the event masters, but they have been committing a couple of unforced errors here and there from different skill categories.
Yeah, and that unforced error sends us to our second technical timeout, 16-11 in favor of the Spin Doctors.
kahit papaano malungkot din ako sa pagkawala ng signal miss kasi syempre isa yun sa gusto din namin talunin talaga. Pero happy ako tsaka excited na makatrabaho ulit sila. Especially sila ko JP Bugawan and Louie Ramirez. And sobrang laking additional talaga nila sa team. And yun, nilook forward ko na mas sana lumakas yung team ngayon and makuha na talaga namin yung championship.
Mark Calado there with championship aspirations and expectations, especially with the addition of these signal players as Louie Ramirez gets another point here. He has been off to a great start this conference.
Yes. Helped Savouge build this 6-point lead. Those overpasses is a big no when you're up against this front line of Savouge. Bugawan, Calado, and Ramirez. That is going to be the three-headed monster for the Spin Doctors. Ball is still alive. 4 touches.
That'll do it. 4 touches. Absolutely right. So the Spin Doctors, really, they have been on song here, both on the offensive and defensive end. Great net defense here so far being shown. And of course, have been very deadly when it comes to their attacks as well.
Baldelivar also has to find the right set for his outside hitters. Hindi pwedeng masyadong dikit sa net kasi nakapayong na yung blockers ng Savouge.
That time, getting that touch. So Ramos will claim the point here for 3B.
Douglas will check in. It is going to be a double sub. Encina.
Douglas and Encina coming in for Ramos, as well as Baldevar. Delobar, rather. Douglas with the serve. Push from Bugawan, not that time. We go to the wing. Again, the net defense of Savouge has been on song here. Marmeto with the dig. Trying to turn something out of nothing, but then the net defense comes to play yet again.
Substitution for 3B, Bartolome will replace Dainata. Here comes the double sub also for Coach Sydney. Paglaon will be setting. Gampong will also enter the match.
Mads Gampong coming in, and again, we showcase the depth here of the Spin Doctors. Paglaon coming in as a service specialist, and of course, Gampong adding a new dimension to this group.
Savouge already has 4 kill blocks in the first set.
Good pancake save there. Ramirez lifts that up. Free ball to play with here for 3B. 3B. Oh, Ramirez slammed that down.
Nowhere to go for the event masters. Total shutdown from Louie Ramirez.
Here's another look at that. Read that all the way. Loud still on the service line. 20-12 the score. Save serve. Douglas. Ooh! And Bugawan got to it first.
But there's a violation call from the first referee. It's reaching beyond the net. Violation.
So they are going to challenge it. Reaching beyond the net. Well, I thought that point should have gone the way of the Spin Doctors, but then our officials, our referee review, will have the final say here. But again, you know, you talk about momentum here for the Spin Doctors, the expectation, the weight of it. You know, they've made the semifinals twice in the past 2 conferences, and you just gotta feel that without signal there, the door is wide open for them to break into the final picture and maybe make some noise.
Yeah, that's why I said in our pre-game that they are one of the heavy favorites to make it to that top 4 first, make it to the finals. But this is going to be a double round robin format in the first round, so they just have to be careful because anything can still happen. We know that in every conference there have been upsets.
Oh yes.
They have to avoid those upsets and get as many wins as they can.
That's true, partner. And of course, for 3B, you're going to be hoping that they cause a few of those upsets here this conference. Again, only 2 teams will be eliminated before the semifinal period. So take a look at that. And no
Oh,
reaching beyond.
yeah.
So great call there.
The ball was already on the way to Savouge's court. It was a valid kill from Bugawan.
Successful challenge. And you know what? That's they're one of two right now in terms of challenges here. Talking about the Spin Doctors. And a chance here for Paglaon to ensure that he stays camped at the service line. And a bit of help from the tape. Good push. Lift it up. And Bugawan with another.
That's the right set for JP Bugawan. I think that's the main thing that they have to work on. Setter's connection with JP Bugawan. It's easy to set up your wings. You just need to find the right height and find the right placement. But for middle blockers, mas kailangan mong mag-adjust because of their elevation, their contact point, their timing on the approach. You have to consider a lot of things. You also have to consider the pass from your teammate.
Now, a lot of factors come into that for sure, and that's why if you're a Spin Doctors fan, you're going to be hoping that you're going to see the more flawless reads between the partners, between the players as the conference goes by. Good block, but kept alive here.
Another clean kill from the Spin Doctors, this time from Mads Gampong.
Mads Gampong, fresh off the bench, able to notch his first points here.
It's also the big advantage when you have JP Bugawan. He will really work as a great decoy.
If I'm not mistaken, majority of these players are already familiar with each other in previous teams. And that's going to be an ace. And the Spin Doctors are running riot here. Ramirez with the ace to make it 22-14 and forcing a timeout. Let's take a look at this and then turn it over to the huddle.
Kasi
22-14 here. The Spin Doctors just 3 away from claiming the first frame, their first frame of the entire conference. Again, you're still watching Spikers Turf Open Conference. No signal in this edition, so that means the door is wide open for anyone to try and claim that throne. And it looks like there is going to be a quick technical issue that they're going to have to address. So they are going to double check the score here, if I'm not mistaken, because it says it should be 13-23, or at least that's the discussion point happening here. So officials having a quick conversation just to make sure that, you know, all this.
Hindi kasi siya ano sa BIS, nagtali sa BIS. Ngayon tinama lang natin kaya medyo na-delay. Ayan, 23-13. Ha? Thank you. Kasi kanina yung layover pinuntosan, 'di ba? Thank you.
I am a big fan of the fact that the referees are mic'd up and we can hear conversations like that.
It's easier to understand.
Yeah.
Ano yung nangyayari. So there was a confusion a while ago because we had to replay that ball. It was a dead ball, and they added 1 point to one of the teams, so we had to adjust the score. So now it's 23 serving 13.
That's good clarification from our officials as well. And that time, David Bugawan showing Ramirez a thumbs up, saying that that's okay. It happens. $3B gives a free point away.
These are the things that you don't want to see because you are trying to catch up. This is a big 10-point lead for the Spin Doctors.
Well, here comes Bugawan now. Serving for the set. And not yet, says 3B.
That's the way to confuse the blockers of Savouge. Israel Encina was one of the best middles in the NCAA when he was still playing for EAC. So that slide attack is very familiar to him.
Couple changes happen here. Valdelovar comes back in. As well as Ramos. In favor of Encina and Douglas. Well, you know what? You end the first frame, even though you know you're going to lose in a more positive note. And you're going to be hoping it carries over to the second. Good save here, but this might result in a free ball. And that time scoring off the block. Not much that they could do there as Mads Gampo gets the point for the Spin Doctors to send us to our second frame with the Savouge Spin Doctors up by 1. Let's take a look at that again. That final point in set number 1. And good start here for the Spin Doctors against the 3B Event Masters Production and Entertainment. So go away. We'll be right back with the second frame. Well, the Spin Doctor is showing everyone that they're great over TikTok. I also encourage you to check out my partner's TikTok page, Neil Flores. You know, I feel that you're going to see similar content, maybe, or maybe not. But let's go talk about these highlights instead. Set number 1 was all about the Spin Doctors. 10-point win, 25-15. And they're showing us exactly what we expected from the Spin Doctors this conference.
It was all Savouge in set number 1. They're just flexing their full arsenal. Later on, you might see new faces or more substitutions to give them playing time for 3B. What they just need to do here in set number 2 is to get more defensive touches. That was the biggest problem in their game ng set number 1. Savouge just had a lot of clean attacks.
Yeah.
Didn't even touch the blockers of 3B, 13 compared to 8. And aside from that, they were also able to put up a wall, 5 kill blocks.
For the Spin Doctors, it really feels like they are playing to the level that they want to play at. Some people might say that if you take a look at a certain competition that you play to their level, but then here come the Spin Doctors making sure that everyone knows that they are a step above. But of course, it could all change here because the 3B Event Masters, I'm sure, would like to do better than that first frame, would like to shake things off, and hopefully cause a bit of a shock of their own. Torres, though, is not having any of that.
Beautiful one-hand set from Enarciso to Torres.
Giles Jeffer Torres. Shawi Caritativo. 4 points to his name already. Shooting 1 block and 3 attacks. Gonna step that up. Ramirez.
Too much angle.
Well, you saw the idea, but that time missing every target.
But that's the thing with Louis Ramirez. Automatic, he already has that advantage, so he doesn't really need to change his angles that much.
Yeah.
As long as he gets it at the highest point.
Good first ball to play with here. Changing it up. And that time, the Spin Doctors get one to Calado.
That's the tendency when you're guarding players like Mark Calado. Since they are powerful hitters, you would anticipate hard hits, so you would backpedal to your zone. But last second, when they push that ball over the block, you really have to be quick on your feet to be able to save that ball.
Speaking of being quick, what about that dig? Here's Ramirez. Couldn't really have any power behind that swing. And that time scoring off the block.
Carl Berdal just controlling that power to get past the wall of JP Bugawan. You have to know when to use full power.
Here come the Spin Doctors again. Hammering that off the wall. Off the block. And that will be short. And you know, we saw a few unforced errors here in favor of the Spin Doctors. So those are unforced errors from 3B. If I'm not mistaken, they had around 5 that they gave away. Heavy serve. Under the bar. And the single block is good enough.
The wall is still there for the Spin Doctors. So for the attackers of 3B, they have to find different angles. Kasi kahit papano, the center has been giving them single blocks. So ideally, it would be easier for 3B to get those kills.
Well, nothing easy about that. And that is not ideal for 3B. Again, so impressive here are the Spin Doctors, just getting almost everything that they want. Let's take a look at that again.
No chance for 3B to save that ball.
Good serve. Reception worked though. And that time just trying to brush that off a few yellow shirts, but that time missing everyone.
Lead is at 4 for Savouge.
And it feels like Savouge are off to the races unless 3B hits the emergency brakes. Calado. Lifting that up. Meeting at the net. And the point will go in favor of 3B. Last touch was from Ramirez, I believe. That's what the referees considered. But Coach City says, nope, that's not the case. So going to check for net fault instead.
I thought that it was going to be a footfall challenge, but it is a net fault challenge from the Spin Doctors.
Again, thank you so much for joining us here on Spikers Turf 2026 Open Conference. Paulo De Rosario alongside Neil Flores. Thank you so much for joining us on Pilipinas Live or wherever you're watching. Again, this is just day number 1 of this 6-team competition. And the added feature for this one is that without signal in the picture, you're going to have a new champion no matter what at the end of the conference. As we take a look at that net fault violation, there is a net fault according to our officials. So that point will go the way of the Savouge Spin Doctors. 7-2 is the score now. But they're going to challenge an antenna touch here. Talking about 3B. Answering a challenge with another challenge. We'll find out that'll work. You know, we have to give credit where credit is due. My partner actually just came from covering another volleyball game prior to this. For some people, volleyball is life, pero baka 1 game a day lang. Itong si Neil, he would take as many as he can. So, no antenna touch there.
That was a surprising counter challenge from 3B. It was obvious that they committed that violation. The lead is at 5 for the Spin Doctors.
And Mark Calado still on the service line, trying to send us to our first technical timeout. Great serve, better reception, and it leads to a pretty point.
That's the right angle. You have to target the sharp cross if you do want to get past that Savouge wall. So the outside hitters will always have two options in this rotation. You go sharp cross or you target the shorter blocker in Narciso and go to zone 1.
Well, so far so good, well, at least after that point here. So 4-point advantage in favor of the Spin Doctors. Making it a 5-point advantage.
Shaping up to be a Berdal show in the Spikers turf. 3 consecutive points.
Sorry, make that a 3-point advantage after that. So 3-point lead, still in favor of Spin Doctors, with 3B starting to find a bit of momentum, a bit of comfort, and a bit of a groove. Lifted that up. And nothing that they could do there. Calado with a point. As we go to our first technical timeout. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference, set 2 of this matchup between the Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors and the 3B Event Masters. Paolo Neal, despite only having 3 weeks worth of preparation, Coach RJ Francisco Jr. is banking on the 3B Event Masters' fresh legs. As he said, mga bata ito, iba yung kondisyon nila. He admitted that this is a challenge handling a newly built team, but on his side is veteran Bonjo Mercastel, the team's captain. For Castel, who was part of the TGJC Navy Sea Alliance, kagandahan daw sa team yung bilis nilang matuto. More than that, it's their willingness to learn and grow. Back to you, Neil Paolo.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Denise Valdesancho. Of course, with Coach RJ coming in, leading on Bonj is going to be an obvious move here, especially when it comes to helping the younger players across as a veteran presence.
Speaking of young players, Carl Berdal already has 6 points. He is the top scorer for 3B, and as for Savouge, they have Louis Ramirez with 7.
So you have individual performers here for 3B. As this rally, it feels like 3B are starting to feel themselves here. But that time sends it straight to the net. A bit of a commentator's curse.
Too low on the attack for Carl Berdal. He's getting most of the sets from Valderovar, from the front to the back.
Here comes the Spin Doctors. Gawan with the serve. Soft touch. Nothing caritativo and Torres could deal with. Triple block, and results in a point. Again, the net defense, it feels like hasn't really been activated here in the second frame as much as it was in the first. But that might get them going. Timeout called. Let's listen in.
Pag nag-soft touch tayo, nagiging madali sa kanila eh. Pagkidaan nyo, ilaban nyo na. Yan na eh.
Pag mahirapan tayo
Kailangan ba?
counter eh. So dapat pag
Yung
naka-counter tayo.
kumpiyansa sa sarili, ibigay nyo sa sarili nyo. Tampasin nyo ng malakas. May na-covers naman sa inyo eh. Kung mablock man kayo, di nyo naramdaman nila kung gano'n kayo kalakas pumalo. Di ba? Come on!
Go tara, wala naman sa ibang ginagawa eh. Baguhin natin. Go tara! Masters!
You can sense a bit of frustration there, Neil.
Great timeout from 3B. Their head coach was just stressing the importance about putting more power in your attacks because these are strong blockers. So if you do want to get points off of them, kailangan lakasan nila yung palo because they still have that second line of defense. The coverage is there for 3B. But if they're going to deliver soft hits, it is going to be easy for Savouge to get their kill blocks.
Exhibit A, partner. Take a look at what 3B has done again.
Berdal coming in hot from the back row, giving another point to the Event Masters.
All right, now the Event Masters are starting to find a bit of their groove and hopefully trying to prove to everyone that they are the main event here. Ooh, and as I say that, Torres skies up there and swipes that down. Take a look at this again. The elevation from Torres. Swatting that down with a lot of excitement. Aldenavar. Great answer for Bonge Castel.
He is one of the more seasoned players in that starting unit, so he has to lead by example. That can be the start for 3B. That's also a way to split the blockers of Savouge. You have a tall, athletic middle blocker in Bonge Castel. I can imagine so many options of attack for 3B. That short slide is one option.
Yeah. Valdenavar with the serve. Talado can score then. Set that up perfectly. And Chawi Caritativo showing them how it's done.
Overpass coming from 3B will give Caritativo another attack point. Now has 6 points in total.
Now Chawi Caritativo, one of the more dynamic personalities of this Spin Doctors team, sends that a bit too long. Marmeto comes in. Vincent Ramos with the serve. Better passing, but even better blocking.
They need more of that. Now Carl Berdal is also helping their team by getting a kill block. So it looks like they've found their ace in this conference.
Oh, Berdal is going to be showing he can do more of that, but Ramirez there to shut down any development here for 3B.
Unchallenged up top and even on the floor.
Take a look at that. No real challenge there. You can see 3B, flailing for that a bit.
Well, kung nasanay ka naman sa
Yeah.
World Championship na 6'6", 6'7" yung mga blockers mo.
It'll be easier to deal with. That time, scoring off the block, 3B. We're seeing a lot more positive play here from 3B compared to what we saw in the first.
Berdal almost in double digits. 9 points of 8 attacks and 1 block.
He's been the ace here for this group. It's Castel. Set serve. That time couldn't just direct it down. In Narciso.
Yeah, they're still trying to get that connection. There have been good moments for that duo, but again, this is their first official game together.
Yeah. And that's a lot better here.
What you like about NRC, so he didn't get it the first time. He will try again because he knows that building that connection early on is going to be crucial for the Spin Doctors. Double sub, Paglaon and Gamban will check in for Coach Sidney.
Oh, this is one of the usual substitutions Coach Sidney makes with Paglaon coming in as a service specialist. Here's Paglaon. Lifting that up. And they're going to preserve at least 1 point before the second technical timeout. (15 to 12). 12 serving 15 here.
Out of system play. That is the 10th point of Berdal.
Douglas hits the service line here for 3B. 12, serving 15. And that time, just getting in between the blockers and the net. Nelson is our second technical timeout. 4-point lead here for the Spin Doctors ongoing.
It's 10 out of 10 kasi kahit nag-LOA ang signal, still makapaglaro ako sa new team ng Savouge. So, sobrang excited ako na maipakita kung ano yung mga pinag-ensayuhan namin this past month entering the Spikers Turf Conference.
Of course, new faces in new places, and you're gonna have to feel that if you come from a championship caliber team like Signal, you're going to be hoping that you could bring in that experience, that next level skill to a team eager for their first taste of gold. Caritativo pushes that forward. Good rally here between these two. Jonas with the save there. Free ball to play with. Soft touch, lifted up from the back. Nothing there. Douglas with a setup. That one will be long.
Not the best of contact points for Olaes.
Well, that's a bit unfortunate because it was shaping up to be a good rally.
And we saw a good defensive pattern from 3B, but now it's back to a 5-point lead for the Spin Doctors.
Chance now for the Spin Doctors through Luis Ramirez. And what a serve. Douglas. Good reception game so far. And as I say that, the Spin Doctors concede that one.
Berdal continues to deliver. 11 points now for Carl Berdal.
I'll take a look at that. That was the first good save and then able to score after. Getting a bit of help from the tape. Kept alive. I think it's safe to say that 3B have grown into this game so far.
Great pickup once again from the event masters.
Douglas sending it to the other side. Kept alive. Single block from Caritativo.
Great coverage from Naife, the second libero of 3B. But they just couldn't put that ball away.
Here's another look at that. Caritativo just guiding it the right way. Bugawan. Douglas steps it up. And that time able to score off the block.
Quick recovery for Olaes after that unforced error. He makes up for it with an attack.
4-point lead here. As we take a look at that last sequence. Lifted it up, going to the wing. Got a hand to it, but unable to really save it.
Gaman got some help from the tape of the net. That will be his second point as they move out of the floor. Babalik ngayon si Calado and Narciso.
Oh, take a look at that again. And here comes the Spin Doctors. And that is Narciso on the service line. Duckless have set up.
Foot fault will be called on Berdal. Legal attack.
And just like that, they are 5 away from claiming this frame.
Someone else has to score for 3B because right now it has been Carl Berdal.
Let's see who they turn to here. And that might be an overreach.
Yep. Bonus point there for the event masters.
No real complaints there from Shawi Caritativo.
You have to allow the setter of the other team to set that ball first, so you cannot interfere.
Valdelavar. Better reception here being shown by 3B. From the back. And Ramirez has been showing off a different type of offense here today. Here's another look at that. Shawi Caritativo on the service line.
10 points for Louis Ramirez.
And right now, the Spin Doctors getting everything that they want, partner.
Yep, they're just cruising through the second set. So they're getting a lot of points from offense, but meron pa rin kill blocks gaya ng first set. Let's listen.
Yung serve naman magaan eh. Okay? So, okay yung ginagawa nyo slide. Ha? Para at least yung respect nung yung middle, nabibigay kay Bonj. And then, just tsaka tayo mag-high ball. Kumpiyansa sinasarapan. Ikaw? Hindi. Ikaw? Kumpiyansa. Kumpiyansa, kumpiyansa.
Kaya, up. Say 3D! Master!
I would agree with that timeout. They're able to pass that ball, but they're having a hard time in converting their attacks. So attack efficiency is the main concern for them.
Well, let's see whether or not that timeout will make a big difference here. Again, they've shown flashes here talking about 3B, but so far have yet to really have it sustained consistency. Able to save it and unable to make it though. Good effort there from Caritativo.
Great response from the timeout. They needed that break point as they're still down by 6.
Down by 6, 22 to 16. So it'll be 16 serving 22. 2 points to his name, looking for his third. The dig as we keep going here, but that time Berdal unable to really reach it.
That was a difficult set to hit. He tried to push that ball over, but it was just too tight for him. Warning point for Savouge.
23 to 16. Valdelavar. And that was just great floor defense shown by Savouge Spin Doctors, and Ramirez thought he might have scored, but here we go. Energy starting to ramp up here. Here's Ramirez again. Soft touch. Save. And that one goes to 3B.
That's the defense that we want to see from the event masters, putting up a fight against the strong attackers of the Spin Doctors.
Let's take a look at that again, partner. A couple of saves.
Yeah, from Bonj Castel to get that off the hands of JP Bugawan.
Again, that's what's called leading by example. As I say that though, sends it straight to the net.
That's your curse.
Yeah, that's the curse. It happens. Any sport, by the way. As here's Mark Calado, ready to send this to the third frame, should he score. Good serve. Great reception, though. And they're looking for a check ball, but they won't get it. 25 to 17 to end the frame. Or will there be a challenge? Yes, there was a challenge. So it looks like they're going to challenge the block touch here. But based on our I wouldn't say not expert, but then, you know, we don't have the ability to slow things down like our cameras can do here to check on the block touch. But with the untrained eye, it does feel like that it should be a good point. But we're going to find out together. And no block touch. Quickly done. And that means the challenge won't be successful. 25-17 to end here. The second frame. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Spiker Surf Open Conference 2026, where the Savouge Spin Doctors are having their way here against the 3B event Masters 25-15, 25-17. Let's take a look at what happened in set number 2. It was more of the same compared to what happened in set number 1. There were longer glimpses this time, though, of what 3B could bring to the table, but the Spin Doctors have just been showing out in this particular game in their opener of the Open Conference.
I would say in terms of defense patterns, mas maganda yung nakita nating defense pattern in set number 2. Sa 3B, they were able to keep some balls alive and they were able to prolong certain rallies, but they were just overwhelmed by the options of NRC. So on the floor for the Spin Doctors, attacking is definitely not a problem for 3B. So again, it is going to be their defense that is going to be magnified in this ball game. For all teams, attacking is the least of their concerns. It's always going to be their net defense, their backcourt support, their coverage, their reception. All of those non-scoring factors is actually going to be the key factor for them if they do want to grab a set against the highly favored Savouge Spin Doctors.
And you take a look at the opponent errors here. So the 3B, they already showed us that they can match up when it comes to attack points. In fact, majority of their points just came from attacks, really, only one block. But the fact of the matter is, partner, they have given up 8 unforced errors as well.
Yeah, that is a big number. You already have Savouge scoring at will, then you're going to give them 8 free points. So that is the stat line na gusto mong laging mababa.
Yeah.
They still have one more chance to grab a set. But for Coach Sydney, it is imperative for her. It's important, actually, to be able to win this in 3 sets. You want to build good confidence heading into this tournament. In every game, that is the goal for all of the teams. Not just to win, but to win in convincing fashion. But so far, so good for the Spin Doctors.
You know, when you take a look at the team on paper, you already know that, yes, Savouge is going to be one of the teams to beat. Pero they want to show that it comes out on the floor. Na talaga, tunay talaga ang pinapakita ng Savouge here in terms of their potential, reaching it and matching it. And so far, so good. Again, based on the early returns. But for 3B, potential still there as well.
That is correct. For Savouge, they're playing relaxed volleyball.
Yeah.
They're following their game plan. And now, Coach Sydney will have the luxury of fielding in his I mean, her second stringers, I'm not sure if gagawin niya yun, but that is a possibility for Savouge.
And they will
Yes.
do it. So you have Gamban come in, you have Nicolas, Austria, Andrade as well. So the second stringers coming in. But even if they're second stringers, partner, they are still very talented. Austria in particular has been a very good icon for this group, a very good leader figure off the floor as well. And if you've been following men's volleyball for as long as we have had, you know, Hero Austria is going to be an exciting watch here today.
Mataas pa rin ang expectation sa second stringers
Oh, yeah.
ng Savouge. This is still a strong starting unit for Coach Sydney. Sometimes you would only see 1 or 2 players enter the floor, but it's a totally different starting unit for the Spin Doctors.
Well, of course, we're going to be hoping that this would, one of two things could happen here. This would encourage 3B to be able to show off, like, yes, we can take on this group in particular and really be a bit more competitive. But at the same time, for the Spin Doctors, it's a chance to show off your depth in terms of talent. And great start here, an energetic start to set number 3. Off the blockers and keep on going from the back. Oh, what a save. Austria winds that up and leaves that a bit too low.
That is going to be good for the confidence of 3B winning that long rally against Savouge.
And we are seeing a lot of smiling faces right now for 3B, and why not? Take a look at this. It was a very energetic start to the set, and it's 3B who draws first blood. Here is Ramos, John Vincent Ramos with the serve. Austria with the reception. Kept alive. They don't go to Berdal, and that point will go the way of the Spin Doctors.
Net fault will be called on Encina. So Savouge will get on the board.
Here is Hero Austria. They go to Berdal. Berdal whacking that off the hands.
Still very consistent. This ball game, 12 points for Berdal.
You know, they're seeing a lot of fresh legs here. Talking about the Spin Doctors, you gotta feel the 3B are gonna hope that they are not yet acclimatized to the game.
You have Mads Gampong, also a lethal attacker in the front line. So kahit wala sila Louis Ramirez, ang dami pa rin pwedeng puntahan ni Paglaon.
2-2 right now after this one coming from Mads Gampong. Nicolas with the serve. And just tap that home.
Nobody went up for that block.
That was Encina. So 3-2 right now in favor of the 3B event masters. But there'll be a challenge here on reaching beyond. So we'll see if they have a point here. Of course, the Spin Doctors, we mentioned the 3-week break that they had to change their body composition. And, you know, 3 weeks might not seem like a lot, but then given the right discipline, you could change your body for sure. And apart from that, can you imagine? Nanalo din sila sa Cebu, sa Sinulog Cup. Normally, sira yung diet sa Sinulog or sa Cebu, but then here they
Sarap
are.
ng lechon.
Oo, sarap ng lechon doon. Even, yeah, like if you just go there and have all the delicacies over in Cebu, and it's hard to stay healthy if you're there as a tourist. Again, still checking this particular challenge. Again, reaching beyond. Coach Sydney there on your screen. Again, of course, Coach Sydney, one of the more accomplished coaches that we're seeing here. The climbing up the resume, racking up the resume. Already a bronze medal finisher. Made it semifinals twice in the last year. And of course, trying to go and make it to their first final and hopefully a gold medal finish. And it'll be tough to get there, but Coach Sydney feels like they are on the right track. Here it is it reaching beyond? And no. No, according to this, and that is that is close there. Unsuccessful, but here also wants to have a conversation. So the point will go to 3B. Encina here with the serve. Also with the reception. Paglaon with the setup. Hammers that against the blockers. They'll stutter step. And that time Ramos got that all wrong.
Wanted to go for a power tip, but it's a bit difficult to go to that type of move when you're hitting from the back row.
Yeah.
Dahil ang layo ng net, pababa yung trajectory ng power tip.
Yeah, you could see that literally just brought the ball down to the bottom of the net. And that one goes to my partner, Neil Flores. But then there's a barrier in front of Neil.
It's 2 quick points for Savouge as they regain the lead here in set number 3.
Here's another look at that. Just couldn't get that first ball down. That's a lot better. Berdal with that last swing. But I've got a bit of help from the blockers.
Savouge's turn to hold on to a 2-point lead.
Gamban on the board with this one. There it is. He couldn't really slow them down enough. Kept alive there. Andrade resetting himself. Maglaon with the setup. Trying to look for Gampong, and Gampong put too much mustard on that.
It has been a tight third set that we're seeing. 3B has to take advantage of the fact that the starters, the regular starters of Savouge are not playing.
Yeah, I mean, they're not playing, but at the same time, you got to feel that this group is still starting to warm up, as evidenced by that.
Yeah, that is the first point for Andrade, also a former Signal HD Super Spiker. He is a lefty. You don't see a lot of southpaws as middle blockers. Kadalasan you would see them at the right pin.
Yeah.
But that is going to be an advantage also for Savouge. It's hard to block a left-handed player.
Oh, Gamban couldn't find the line. Yeah, you know, southpaws in any sport, they pose a unique type of challenge. Oh, and here Austria turns back the clock and slams that home.
Austria is the team captain of this team.
Here's another look at that. No, we see less of Austria in general in the past few conferences. That's because there's so many rising talents around Austria. Ramos. Paglaon with the setup. That time getting a touch from the blockers. Nicolas with a point there, and that will send us to our first technical timeout, 8-5.
live inside the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan for the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2026. Paolo, Neil, what we are witnessing right before our eyes are star players. Now in a yellow shirt, Louis Ramirez, JP Bugawan, and Casey Andrade. It may be a new home for them, but the familiarity with the Spin Doctors and experience is on their side. Pero hindi daw talaga mawawala dyan yung Louis Ramirez, JP Bugawan connection. And if anything, they both had to learn to let loose on and off the court, knowing how Savouge is. You know, even Coach Sid told me that she was surprised when she saw lumalabas yung kilit ni JP. But what didn't change for the two is their championship mentality. Back to you, Paolo Neal.
Thank you so much for that report. That was Denise Valdesancho. And it's great to see that, you know, they have the permission to loosen up quite a bit here. We'll get to that in a while after this rally, because that just goes a bit too long. Or rather, there was a block touch, so the point will go the way of the Spin Doctors.
Savouge Castel had the last touch in that Nicolas hit. Savouge is pulling away. Coach Sydney must be happy about the performance of her second stringers. Na parang first 60 naman ang caliber.
You know, it feels like it's also an audition here and giving Coach Sydney more headaches of how to line up. Because so far, so good. Austria, though, will send that alone. But, you know, back to the report here of Denise, mentioning like some of the newcomers here from Signal na iba yung vibe. They had to loosen up a bit. And I think we knew even from the past, even though they were in that serious environment or that, you know, that type of environment with Signal where they feel that maybe they couldn't let loose. We knew that may kulit naman talaga sila in general. And that's just another good swipe there coming from the Spin Doctors.
That is also going to be something new for them. New culture. They've been with Signal for the longest time. They've won championships. So many championships.
Yes. And now they're going to try to bring that championship mentality, that championship caliber experience here. And so far, so good. At least in test number 1 against 3B. And that one will go the way of the 3B event masters after that one isn't across the tape. 10-7 still though.
Substitution for 3B. Bartolome will check in.
Bartolome set to serve straight away. And that time, just a bit too low. Nicolas couldn't really lift that up.
He also jumps really high.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into consideration every time you set that ball to him.
Yeah. Here's Bartolome. 3B trying to string together a couple of points. Good coverage. Bonge Castel trying to keep it alive and barely doing so. They got that across still. Great save from Bardal. Oh, but nothing stopping that from Austria.
That was an overset from Bonge Castel. Carl Bardal was still on the floor. He wasn't able to position himself well for the block. Look at that. Nakita rin yun ni Paglaon, so he went for that reverse set. So far, Savouge has actually tallied more errors compared to 3B. 5 unforced errors for Savouge, only 2 for 3B.
Well, that's of course here in set number 3 with a new 6 here to play with, really. Almost entirely new. Bonge Castel with the serve. Paglaon with the setup. 3B goes to Bardal. And then stuffed at the net.
That's why in the Spikers turf, teams can't just rely on one player to deliver the points, because at a certain point in time, naitatayo yung countermeasures. Look at that. In sync na block. Galing sa Savouge. Double block there.
Barely gets it across. Oh, and making something out of nothing.
Gamban with a good hit. Set coming from the back row, out of system play for Savouge. So that is going to be one of the most difficult sets talaga to hit. So as outside hitters, we really need to get that timing right.
And Berdal stops the bleeding.
The only pair in double digits for the event masters now with 13 points.
Well, you know, we answered the question already. Who's going to be the ace here for 3B? Berdal has been the answer so far. But I think the homework here for this group is trying to figure out what type of support can they provide Berdal. Of course, there's a lot of talented players here that we've seen in the collegiate level, some of the younger ones as well. But trying to survive in this environment, Spiker's turf, will require something else altogether. Oh, and that was a pretty one coming from the Spin Doctors.
Double sub. Marcalado and Narciso will check in. Beautiful combination play for Mads Gampo.
So a couple changes here. Calado, who's already contributed here with his fair share of points. Narciso. Calado called into action straight away, and Narciso with a setup to Austria. So the ball is out. Will go the way of 3B.
More unforced errors coming in for the Savouge Spin Doctors. 6 to be exact.
14 to 11, the count should read there at the bottom of your screen. Bartolome. Not that time, lifting it up straight away. Gamban trying something different with a soft touch. Met at the net. Bartolome again.
Successful hit out for Bartolome. This is the closest they've been
in a while,
I
really.
think it's a halfway mark in every set.
Yeah.
It's down by 3.
There was one point where it was 7-6, but that was really the closest it could ever get throughout the entire game. Absolutely right. And Narciso looking around. Gamban!
5 points for Gamban.
You know, when Gamban is able to get the proper lift up, the proper connection, it's more like Gamban!
Full swing on that last play. Medyo nagulat ako.
And there's Gamban again. Oh, and a single block from Andrade. 16 to 12 at the end of these, rather at the second tactical timeout in favor of the Spin Doctors. One-way traffic yet again despite a new 6. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Event Master showing off their skills on TikTok. If you want more, check out Neil Flores and Denise Valdesancho on TikTok. I think you're going to find similar content there. But let's take a look at that first. 3B says let's talk about volleyball instead. The Event Masters strike back courtesy of Elias.
They're putting up a good fight actually here in set number 3. We're seeing scattered plays from Valdelobar, trying to run a couple of combination plays.
And Narciso with the setup, and that time the connection not quite there. There were a couple of sequences already for the Spin Doctors here. Andrade that time not reaching it.
Nakakapanibago rin kasi na left-handed yung middle blocker. So you'd have to adjust your set accordingly. And setters don't have middle blockers na left-handed most of the time. Kumbaga, they're like a rare Pokemon.
Yeah.
If you would put it that way.
Well, that's a term that we can all use now. As well, you know what? It's just getting used to each other, you know. Like the more you play with each other, the more you get familiar. That would help. Bartolome with the swing, looking for a touch, won't get it.
Too strong on the swing.
Yeah.
You would appreciate the fighting spirit of the event masters.
Yes.
They're not giving soft touches to the defense of Savouge. They're continuing to go to powerful hits, but right now they have to be able to control those hits as well. Hindi pwedeng puro lakas lang. You have to try to direct that ball to the target zones. That's 2 unforced errors for 3B.
And Bartolome, back-to-back hits, same result though, unfortunately. And you know, you just got a feel for 3B here. Again, just it hasn't gone their way in this particular game. But then we have to also credit the depth here of the Spin Doctors. You know, we were talking about just how stacked their lineup looks like from top to bottom. And it really feels like that the quality doesn't go down, really, not by that much, no matter who's on the floor.
And too sharp on the cross for Austria. But they still have a 4-point cushion. More substitutions for 3B. Babalik si Dakles at Encina.
19-15 the count here. With 15 serving 19. Dakles with the serve.
They will score off an ace to trim the lead down to 3. Coach Sydney is looking for that finishing kick from the Spin Doctors.
And close to getting it here. And Narciso with the setup. Austria skied up there. Scored off the block. Ball fell kindly for the Spin Doctors. And don't look now. More substitutions coming in here as Mads Gampong returns, as well as Paglaon to try and close things out. As here Austria, last point there. Credit to Hero. I'll take a look at that bench mob here for the Spin Doctors. And that's a formidable group.
Break point for 3B. Continuing to fight, down by 3 points. And they have 3 attackers in the front line. Sakto yung ikot nila because Berdal is now up front. So he can score consecutive points for the event masters.
Paglaon with a setup. Oh, my goodness.
What a hit from Dan Nicolas. Perfect placement of that set also from Paglaon.
Take a look at this. Nicolas with the swing. Just beyond everyone there. 21-17. Looking for the finishing kicks here. Dakles. Able to get that down in time.
Encina is being utilized as an opposite hitter for 3B. Because right now yung middles talaga, height is very important.
They're going to be hoping they can go on a little run here. It's still close enough to worry the Spin Doctors. You need to show a bit of lethality here if you're the Spin Doctors. As Berdal goes up. Good coverage here. They go to Berdal again.
Too strong for Berdal. Savouge is now 3 points away from getting this win.
Of course, need to make sure that they clean things up here. No errors for the Spin Doctors. That's what they're going to be hoping for. Safe serve. Berda lifts it up. Free ball to play with. Paglaon with the setup. And almost a miscue. And that'll go the way here of 3B.
They're having a hard time. That specific play, that slide to the left for Andrade. Time out, Coach Sidney.
Running ako. Oh. Ano lang natin, mataas, mababa? Hindi, sakto lang sa atin. Hindi lang napasok. Okay. Importante ngayon, cut lang tayo kasi pag hindi na naman tayo makapatay, 20 lang yan. Ha?
Go tuloy tayo! Savouge, guys!
Well, it's the end game here. And the Spin Doctors are looking to close out against a 3B team that's showing signs of life. Only 3 points away from either a tie or the set 3 win. Thank you again for joining us here for the opening day of the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference. Paulo de Rosario alongside Neil Flores, Denise Valdesancho on the sideline for us. And oh boy, Gamban with a big swing. Let's take a look at this again. Gamban. Oh. Well, it's proving to be a difference maker here in set number 3.
Category, and now they will end it with a kill block. So Savouge will get on the board as they register their first win in our open conference.
Well, they showed us a variety here of ways to win the game. Talking about the Spin Doctors. So far, so good. And showing everyone that they do have championship credentials. And right now, what they're going to make sure of is that they get this part right. The handshakes here at the end of the contest. But then, leaving a great impression here are the Spin Doctors, partner.
Yep. Again, a strong start to their campaign. Coach Sidney just used the second stringers in that third set to give them playing time. Everybody played well for 3B. It wasn't the opening that they hoped for, but we saw flashes of brilliance from them in all of the 3 sets that we've played. It's still a long road ahead. They just have to focus on certain skill set categories to be able to compete at a higher level.
25-15, 25-17, and 25-20. All in favor of the Savouge Spin Doctors. When we return, a bit of analysis and, of course, our best player of the game. Don't go away.
Welcome back to the Spikers Surf Open Conference 2026 live here at the Phil Oil Eco Oil Center in San Juan. Beside me is our best player of the game from the Savouge Aesthetics Spin Doctors, Loisa Gumban. Loisa, you had 7 points off 7 attacks. This is your moment.
Bongga.
Loisa, bonga.
Pag kailangan kita at any point, may it be a starter or a second stringer, you have to be able to put up the numbers. So it was a good and dominant win for Savouge. Net defense was a very big advantage for them against the new kids on the block.
Yeah.
But for 3B, sabi ko nga kanina, they had their moments, but they're still going to look for that first win.
They're going to look for that first win, but we saw glimpses of what they could do. We have seen that they, for the attacking department, they actually could be a bit dangerous, but of course, other parts of the game has to be cleaned up if they want to make an impact here in the Spikers Surf Open Conference. As you can see here, attack points very much in favor of Spin Doctors.
Set number 2, dikit lang tayo dyan, but in the third set, Savouge just really flexed their bench as they out-attacked 3B.
Yes, they did, partner. And of course, opponent errors there in favor this time of 3B, but they're going to be hoping that things will change as the conference moves on, as they get more experience. Of course, Spikers Surf returns on Friday, still here, the Phil Oil Center in San Juan City. You have BNS taking on AEP, and of course, the Crisscross King Crunchers going up against Alpha Insurance. And of course, we are excited to bring that all here on Pilipinas Live. Thank you so much for joining us for the opening day, this triple header. I'm Paulo De Rosario alongside Neil Flores. Thanks about Sancho was our course header for today, and we will see you for the next ones.